Hey everybody, what is going on? CerealOverdrive here, and today we're doing a Q&A for 40K. So we recently hit 40,000 subscribers for the channel, so we're going to be doing a little Q&A for that. One of you suggested it, so I figured why not? Let's give it a go. Made a community post. Everybody left me some questions, so I'm going to answer every single one of them. And I say that because there's really not that many questions, so hopefully I'm going to be able to dive deep and give all of you the answers that you were hoping for. So the first question is, would you consider trying content on Skull and Bones? I think a portion of Rust Console's audience might migrate to it. So that's a good question. I guess the overall question is like, how do I pick out games? How do I know what to play? Everything like that. So mostly I've just got to actually like the game. I feel like if I'm playing a game and I don't like it, it's not going to come off as authentic. No one's going to really like the content that I'm doing. And I'm not going to like doing the content. I've already got a job. I'm not looking to make this a full-time, part-time, whatever time job. I'm looking at this as a hobby, so I'm going to do what I like. That's why you'll see I'm still playing Entropia Universe and getting like 300 views on those videos. It's because it really isn't about the views or the money, because money comes with views. But it's just about doing what I like. So first off, Skull and Bones is a game that I like. It is, actually. It is. It looks like a really cool game. So now you're saying some of the Rust audience might migrate over to it. That's going to happen with any game. Any game I pick up, there's a portion of my audience who might migrate to it. The thing is, though, you've got to be able to get people interested in it. And the game has to have enough legs to really support that amount of people. From what I can see, Skull and Bones looks like a good game, but it looks a little rough around the edges. It looks a little more indie, and I don't see a way that it could actually pull people from Rust. If you're going to pull people from Rust, you're going to need that really like hardcore action element, that survival element. A building element would be really nice, and it's going to need to be more polished than Rust. I'm not 100% sure if this would sort of qualify. Also, when I look at the game, it doesn't have a huge community, which isn't a downside to me. It's not something that I require to play a game. But if I'm looking at it purely from a views point of view, I'm probably not going to be getting as many views on that as I would on something like the new Call of Duty or the coming Harry Potter game. So those games are going to have a lot more people interested in them. And while I'm going to be getting a much smaller piece of the pie if I do videos there, it's still going to be a pretty decent pie. So from a monetary perspective, not really much there. From interest perspective, it actually is something that I like. And if I do run out of games to play, I've got a huge backlog, trust me. But if I do run out, I could see myself jumping over to it. It looks cool. But my goal overall when I pick a game isn't to convert a player base here or there or do anything like that. It's just to have a good time and be able to make videos that actually help people. Go back to when I started the channel. Back then, people were getting paid less than 1 cent per 1,000 views, and getting anything like 100,000 views was basically something that only a god could do. So I wasn't in it for the money. All I wanted to do was help people, and I've tried to carry that ethos forward. Right now, my channel does make a somewhat significant amount of money, but I still try and keep it raw. I still try to keep it what it was. I still try to answer people's questions, give people guides, and give people, in the case of Rust console news, that is given as fast as possible. My goal isn't to maximize the amount of revenue I make or the amount of people that are going to see the video. It's to make sure that the people that do end up at my video get what they want out of it. And hopefully I am able to provide that. I've started mixing in a little bit of my humor. Some people love it. Some people want to cancel me for it. But overall, the goal is always the same. I want to give people the answers they're looking for as fast as possible. A lot of people aren't doing that now, so I pride myself in trying to at least do that. Question number 2, and this is going to surprise a lot of people. Besides playing video games, what else do you like to do when you have free time? So what do I do in my free time, basically, besides playing video games? So surprisingly, I actually don't play that many video games, even with Rust. If you look at my actual videos, if you look at the actual content I'm putting out, the answer to this next question is going to surprise some of you. So question number 2 is, besides playing video games, what else do you like to do when you have free time? So yeah, video games do make up a portion of my life, but it's not a relatively huge portion. I'd say probably like 7 hours a week on average is devoted to video games. Why is that, Cereal? Well, first off, I do have a job. I graduated from school a long time ago in a galaxy far away, and now I'm a computer engineer, which means I'm probably working about 40 to 50 hours a week. In addition to that, I do have a family, so I've got kids. That might surprise some of you, but I spend a lot of time with them. If they're awake, I'm spending time with them. That's just the way I want to live my life, I guess. You know, like, I want to make sure that I'm around, that we're hanging out, that we're doing stuff. There's not enough hours in the day for that, so that's my number one priority, right? Like, family comes first, and then, you know, you've got to look at work. You've got to make sure that you can pay the bills. And after that, I'd say one of my big hobbies would be traveling. That's one of the things I love to do. I love to just go to new places. And I don't mean traveling like what people put in their Tinder bio. No, like I want to go to really cool places or really interesting places to me. So I've been to Paris, I've been to London, I've been to Amsterdam, I've been to, New York, LA, Vegas, Miami, all the classic stuff, right? But I like to go to some of the less than classic places too. So, I've been to Bosnia, Albania, I've been to Turkey, I've been to some countries I'm not allowed to talk about because it could get me in trouble. I've been all over the place. I think right now I'm at like 60 countries I've visited. So I'd say traveling would be a huge one. With traveling, I love to just take photos of everything so I can share it with people. I love to take videos, and I do edit some of those videos together and throw them up on Facebook for friends and family to see. It's one of those crazy things because some of the places I go to, people think they're real shitholes. And when I can actually show them video and be like, no, like, this country that you know so little about is actually a really nice place. I feel like it helps bring people together, right? It helps make people realize that a lot of the differences are just perceived because of the way that media and politicians and all these bullshit people are portraying things. Yeah, I guess traveling would be a really big hobby of mine. And then videography and just photography and being able to share my experiences with people through a bunch of different mediums is something that's really important to me because every trip I take, there's always something that I take home. Like every place I've been to, there's always something special about it. There's always something that makes me say, like, I really love this place. And then there's things that I don't like, but it's really good being able to compare and contrast those, show people these realities that they don't really believe in, and change the way people think, because that's happened to me. Like there's people I've met that have really like opened my eyes to just how different the world is from what we're told. And I think everybody should experience that. And like, if you've got the money, even if it's only a couple grand, you can go do some amazing things with that. My first trip was, I spent $5,000 over 4 months in Europe, just backpacking around and everything like that. And I think those are some of the adventures that, if you've got the opportunity, 100% take it. I took it. I spent all my money doing it. I got back, had no job, nothing lined up. It worked out for me. And honestly, even if it didn't work out, I would have been so happy that I did it. I would have been overjoyed that I got to live that experience, even if it meant that I was living on the street for a little bit or had to, go back home, move in with my parents, whatever. But of course, like, set yourself up so when you come back, you have a really high chance of success. But yeah, I'm deviating from the question here. But yeah, travel's a big one. Photography, videography. I'm a musician. I play a few musical instruments when I get the chance. I haven't had the chance too often recently. I also was a DJ for a little bit, so that was a fun time. But yeah, going out with my friends, trying different foods. I mean, that sounds like, again, half of this sounds like a Tinder profile, but I do have a resume that can back it up. I've tried Afghani foods. I've tried Iranian, Persian, Lebanese, Bolivian, Colombian, Japanese, obviously Korean, Vietnamese, Thai, like just all over the place. Anytime I see something that's new, even if it's a country that you've never heard of or I've never heard of, I just go in and I want to try it because it's a new experience. And worst case scenario, I'm slightly disappointed or very disappointed, depending on what I have to eat. So otherwise, just going out for drinking, hanging out with friends, everything like that. There's so many things that you could do with a day that it's hard for me to say any one hobby that I really stick to, but just consuming information, talking with people, meeting people, traveling, doing videography, photography, and music, and everything in between, along with playing video games, is what takes up pretty much all of my time outside of work. So what is the next question? Question number 2. Do you think that Rust on console has a future, or is it going nowhere? I think it does. I think Rust on console does have a future. The main game, Rust on the PC, has a huge population of players. There's a lot of console players who are still looking to get into the game. And I think that the fact that there is a console version of Rust, that's just going to draw people in. And let's face it, once you put in 1,000 or 2,000 or whatever amount of hours, you do realize that the game's buggy. There's situations that you get yourself into that you should have been able to get out of, but a bug stops you from getting out of it. Unfortunately, at that point, Rust has its hooks on you. And, if you have a bad heroin trip, you're probably still addicted to heroin, and the same is true for Rust. Next up, what do you edit on? So right now I'm editing on a pretty shitty computer. I am planning to build a new one, but right now I've got a old sort of gaming laptop. It's got an R580 video card and an i9 processor. So the processor is actually pretty decent, but it's 5 generations old. So it's like 9th gen, I think it is, or 8th gen, something like that. In addition to that, it's got 12 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs of RAM, something like that. It's not really that good of a laptop. I don't know the specs anymore. I used to. I talked about it in all my old videos. When I got the laptop, it was amazing, but I do need to upgrade, and that time is quickly approaching. I have sort of the parts list on order and everything like that. Gonna get a desktop, build it, and have me a proper gaming and editing setup. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna be leaving the console edition Rust, because I love all you guys. You guys are great. You guys have really blown this channel up, and every time that I put out a video and just see the people actually enjoying it and actually watching it, I guess you could say like a huge rush of adrenaline. I get a little bit of like, not validation, but I feel good about it. I feel good that people are enjoying these videos that I'm creating, so I'm gonna keep creating them. Next up, someone said, "I love you." Yeah, you're awesome. Love you too. Like, like I said, you guys are all great. You guys and girls are all amazing. I do appreciate that. And the last question on the community tab would be, do you play COC? I asked what COC. I thought it was something to get me to... I thought someone was making a joke and asking if I was a homosexual. Apparently, that's not what they're asking. They're asking if I play Clash of Clans. I don't play Clash of Clans, so I can't do the follow-up questions of what town hall am I, and are you rushed because we need one more Clan Wars? I don't know anything about Clash of Clans. I couldn't tell you anything about it. So yeah, that's I don't play it. I've been sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends before. That's probably the only big mobile game that I've played. It was interesting. I liked it, but personally, it's just not something that I have on my phone. Right now, the only game I have on my phone is chess. Yeah, that is all the questions that were asked of me for this Q&A. It's not that many. I know people are like, you have 40,000 subscribers. How do you get so few questions? Well, it's a 10-year-old or 11-year-old now channel. Of course, not everybody that's subscribed to my channel is still active. And a lot of the people who are interested in the Rust content have moved on to other games, which means YouTube is no longer recommending me to them. So unfortunately, even some of my videos that get like a 25% click-through rate, they get a 50% retention on a 5-minute video, they don't really get that traction. They don't really go anywhere because there's just not that many people interested in the console edition of Rust. There's other Rust console creators out there who are doing an amazing job and really pushing past the genre. But in my case, a lot of my stuff just relies on the games being big. If you're doing news, if you're doing guides, if you're doing stuff like that, you need to be doing it for big game or a big community to get those views, to get that interest, and to get people to keep coming back. If people leave the community, they also sort of leave your channel. That's just how it goes. So yeah, I didn't get a ton of questions, but that's okay. The channel ebbs and it flows. I've had many peaks and many valleys, and that's 100% okay and 100% understood by me. That's why you don't see it. Like when Rust console popped off, you didn't see me talk about retiring from my job, even though for a little bit, I was actually making more money playing Rust than I was at work, which is crazy. But that wasn't going to be a long-term thing because the game sort of flopped. There were a lot of cool plans I had behind it, but those sort of all fell to the wayside. Maybe if another game pops off and I get really good at it, or I get a really big traction there, I'll sort of move those plans over there, but we've got to wait and see, fingers crossed. But yeah, that's all we've got for today. I really do want to say everybody who's been communicating and participating in that Rust village that I created, thank you so much. It's been a really awesome experience, and I've gotten a lot of messages from new players saying how much it helped them get into the game, how much it helped them that they could actually get to the tier 1, the tier 2, even the tier 3, get some blueprints, get some guns, and actually get a Rust experience or a proper Rust experience. For a lot of people, they get into the console version of Rust especially, and the only experience they have is getting a rock and then getting shot. Or a lot of people, that did change with this village that we created. So for everybody who did participate in that, thank you so much. It was something that was actually really special. And to be honest, it was probably one of the best experiences that I have had on the console edition of Rust. So that says just how fun and how crazy that village was, especially when everybody gets out there shooting. It's mass chaos. People are screaming into their mics. Stuff's going nuts. Someone shoots a rocket in from above on the hills. It's some crazy footage that I've got. I've got to put it all together into something. One other thing, let's talk about it, because this is a question that some people have asked me before, why I don't do more Rust console stories. or Rust stories in general. So one of the reasons I'm pouring myself a little wine here, a little celebratory wine, if you will. So one of the reasons you don't see me doing too many Rust story videos is because I just don't have time for it. I know it's like people are like, what? But I just don't have time. Like when you put all that time into Rust, like to get a good story, I think it would probably take me like 10 to 20 hours. I'm not that skilled. I can't just push it out in an hour or two, right? So let's say 10 to 20 hours. It could take more than that. Also, I've gotten into the middle stuff where I've got this great story and then just midway through someone raids my base. That's what it is. But like then you're throwing out all that content, all those videos, all that time that you put into it, and you've got to start over again. And if you listened to this whole video, you know that I don't have that much time. So when that happens, it just completely ruins it. So Rust stories, well, I do love creating them. I love the editing process. It's so much fun for me. It's probably not something that you'll see too much out of me, but if you do go to my channel and you look on that like front page, you'll see I did create a Rust story. It's got a little nice like music to it. I thought it was a really cool video. Didn't get any traction whatsoever, so maybe it wasn't that good. Maybe it was just impressing me, but I thought it was a really cool video. I had a lot of fun with it. When I get a chance, I'm going to be doing videos like that, but I don't always have a chance to do it, so I stick to guides and news because that's what I know how to do. I think I've gotten to the point right now where I can speak into a microphone and actually do it in a pretty proper way that'll get the information, convey the information to everybody who's watching, and do it in a really timely manner. And I think there's an area of YouTube that appreciates that. There's some people that like everything to be fluffed up. They like to have those longer videos that they can sort of play in the background like this video. But a lot of people, when they're looking for news, when they're doing that search, they appreciate a video that gets right to the point, even if it's only 30 seconds long and it just tells them, hey, click this button and then get out of here. YouTube doesn't like that, but I do what I can to help who I can. Anyways, that's all I've got. Hopefully that gave you a little bit of a insight into my life. If you like the Q&A aspect, if you didn't get your questions in, feel free to drop them down below. If there's enough interest, I'll do another one of these. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate everybody who made it this far. If you did make it this far, you're awesome. You're legends. Until next time, peace.